I stopped supporting my brother's family after he told me there's no place for losers. That's why I wasn't invited to Christmas, and now he's losing it. Honestly, I was really looking forward to Christmas this year. For once, I wasn't scrambling at the last minute. I had already bought gifts for my parents, my brother Jacob, his wife Kelly, and their kids before the first week of December. I even picked up a few extra presents just in case unexpected guests showed up. I don't know why, but I had a feeling this year would be special. So, I was completely shocked when my mom opened the door and said, "We don't want you here this year." There I was, standing on my parents' porch with 2 bags of wrapped gifts. At first, I thought it was a bad joke. I even laughed a little, but then I heard Jacob's voice behind her. He said, "This is no place for losers. You're really starting to wear on all of us." I froze, just staring at them. My dad stood behind them, looking anywhere but at me. My mom seemed uneasy, but she didn't take it back. And Jacob? He was smug, like always. A wave of anger, confusion, and humiliation hit me all at once, but I kept calm. "Fine, if that's how you feel," I said quietly, and turned back to my car. As I sat in the driveway, staring at the bags of gifts beside me, Jacob's words echoed in my head. No place for losers. Where did that even come from? I'd always been kind to Jacob and his family. Over the years, I had paid for his kids' summer camps, their school supplies, and even covered his mortgage when he was struggling. And now, suddenly, I wasn't invited to Christmas? I couldn't leave it like that. I needed answers. So I got out of the car and went back to the house. My parents were still in the hallway, whispering. Jacob sat on the couch, scrolling through his phone, pretending nothing had happened. I didn't bother knocking. "What's going on?" I asked. "Why am I not welcome this year? What did I do?" Without even looking up, Jacob smirked. "You really don't get it, do you? You've been slacking lately. The kids barely got anything from you this year." I was stunned. "What are you talking about? I've spent hundreds on your kids. Their gifts are still in the car." He shrugged. "Last year, you did more. This year, it feels like you don't care. It's embarrassing for us, honestly." I looked at my parents, expecting them to say something, maybe step in or at least call him out. But my mom just gave a weak smile and said, "Well, you did buy yourself a new car. You found money for that." I took a breath to stay composed. "The car is on credit," I explained evenly. "And even if it wasn't, how does that make me responsible for Jacob's kids? They're not my responsibility." Jacob leaned back as if it all made perfect sense. "You make the most money. We're family. Families help each other. You've always done that." Kelly sat quietly in the corner, looking down at her hands. She didn't say a word. She just looked embarrassed. "So because I've helped before," I asked, "that means I'm obligated to do it forever? And if I don't, I'm a loser?" Jacob gave a half shrug. "If the shoe fits." That was it for me. I shook my head and stepped back. "You're right," I told them. "I don't belong here." Turning to Jacob, I added, "Enjoy your Christmas, and good luck with those presents, because this loser is done funding your life." I didn't wait for a reply. I left. The drive home was silent. I gripped the steering wheel tightly, trying to process everything. Was I really the bad guy here? For years, I'd gone above and beyond for my family, especially Jacob. I made sure his kids never went without, even when it wasn't my responsibility. And now, I was being called a loser for not doing enough? When I got home, I sat in the driveway, staring at nothing. The bags of gifts in the car made my stomach turn. I'd spent weeks picking them out, thinking about what my parents would appreciate and what the kids would love. And now, none of it mattered. The more I thought about it, the clearer it became. This wasn't just about Christmas. This had been building up for years. Jacob had always depended on me. When he and Kelly first got married, money was tight. He couldn't keep a steady job, and her part-time work barely covered their expenses. I helped them out, a few hundred here, a few hundred there, thinking it was temporary. Then, I helped with rent when they were about to be evicted. Later, I paid for childcare when their second baby was born. But a little while turned into years. Eventually, Jacob stopped asking out of need and started expecting it. What began as kindness turned into entitlement. Gratitude disappeared, replaced by attitude. And now, being cut off from Christmas was the final straw. That night, I knew that by cutting off my financial support, I was risking my relationship with Jacob, his kids, and even my parents. But I couldn't keep being treated like an ATM instead of a brother or a son. They didn't reach out to me, and I didn't contact them either. Maybe they finally got the message, I thought. Still, I should have known Jacob wouldn't accept it quietly. New Year's Eve passed in complete silence. No texts, no calls, nothing. My parents, Jacob, and even Kelly stayed distant. It was the first time in years that I spent the holidays completely alone. I didn't expect them to reach out, but it still felt strange when midnight passed and my phone remained silent. I even considered calling, but every time I thought about it, I remembered Jacob's sneer and his words, "No place for losers." For years, I'd been the one holding the family together, and now they treated me as if I was disposable. Fine, I thought. If they wanted distance, they could have it. By mid-January, something unexpected happened. Kelly, who had always been quiet and avoided conflict, suddenly texted me one evening. Her message was short and straightforward. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I don't agree with what happened. Jacob won't listen to me, but I thought you should know." I stared at my phone for a long time, unsure what to feel. On one hand, it was comforting to know that someone in the family finally acknowledged the truth. But at the same time, her apology felt too late. She hadn't spoken up when it mattered. Eventually, I replied, "Thanks, Kelly, I appreciate it, but this isn't something I can just move past." She didn't continue the conversation, and I didn't expect her to. Then, in early February, something even more surprising happened. Jacob showed up at my house without warning. I was in the middle of a work meeting when I heard the knocking. I ignored it at first, assuming it was a delivery. But when it didn't stop, I finally went to the door, and there he was. He looked frustrated and tired, more than I'd ever seen him before. Before I could say a word, he walked right in and said, "We need to talk." I crossed my arms. "What's this about?" He got straight to the point. "You need to stop acting like this and start helping out again." I actually laughed, not because it was funny, but because I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Helping out?" I said. "You mean paying for your life? I told you I'm done with that." He frowned. "You're the one with money. Do you have any idea how hard it's been for us since you decided to act like this? The kids barely have what they need. Kelly's trying to keep things together, but we can't do it without your help." I stared at him in disbelief. "Do you even hear yourself, Jacob? You're an adult. You have a wife and children. If you need money, go earn it. It's not my job to fix your problems." He snapped back. "You've always helped before. Why are you being so selfish now?" "Selfish?" I repeated. "Let's talk about selfish. You lied to our parents about me, turned them against me, and banned me from Christmas because I didn't spend enough on your kids. And now you're here asking for more? That's selfish. He opened his mouth to argue, but I raised a hand to stop him. We're done here, Jacob. I'm not giving you another cent. Don't contact me again until you learn how to act like an adult. He glared at me for a moment, then left without another word. I assumed that would be the end of it, that he'd complain to our parents, but eventually move on. I was wrong. 2 days later, I got a call from an unknown number. Normally, I wouldn't have answered, but something told me to pick up. "Hello?" I said. "Is this Michael?" a man's voice asked. "Yes. Who's this?" "This is Mark Dawson. I'm a lawyer representing a client who's raised concerns about certain financial matters involving your family. Do you have a moment to discuss them?" My stomach dropped. A lawyer? What financial matters? I asked carefully. In a calm, professional tone, he replied, "I can't go into details over the phone, but it involves financial contributions you've made to your brother Jacob and his family. Specifically, how those funds have been used. Would you be willing to come to my office for a discussion?" My mind raced. Had Jacob borrowed money under my name? Was he doing something illegal with my information? Or was this just another way to pressure me into giving him more money? "Who's your client?" I finally asked. There was a brief pause before he answered. "I'm afraid I can't disclose that right now. But I assure you, this isn't a lawsuit against you. It's more of an investigation." Despite my hesitation, I agreed to meet him. Curiosity got the better of me, and I couldn't shake the feeling that this was more serious than Jacob just trying to manipulate me again. The next day, I went to Mark Dawson's office, not knowing what to expect. But the moment I sat down, he revealed something I never saw coming. He slid a folder across the desk and said, "Kelly is my client." I blinked in disbelief. "Kelly? Why would she need a lawyer?" Mark folded his hands and studied me. "She believes Jacob has been misusing the money you've given him over the years. She has reason to think he's been hiding funds from both you and her." I felt a wave of nausea. "Hiding money? What do you mean?" Mark opened the folder, revealing bank statements, receipts, and screenshots of text messages. "She suspects Jacob has been diverting your financial help into a separate account," he explained. "From what she found, it appears he's been using the money for gambling and other personal expenses instead of supporting his family." I stared at the documents in disbelief. "You're telling me all the times I helped him, paid for bills, school supplies, rent, that money didn't even go to them?" Mark nodded seriously. "It seems that way. Kelly recently discovered this and came to me for advice. At first, she didn't want to involve you, but under the circumstances, she felt it was necessary." What I was hearing was hard to believe. All this time, Jacob had been deceiving me, using the money I thought was supporting his family for things I never knew about. I didn't know whether to feel betrayed, angry, or just foolish for not realizing it sooner. With a strained voice, I asked, "Does Kelly have proof?" "Take a look yourself," Mark said, sliding the folder closer. I opened it and started scanning the pages. There were clear records, large withdrawals from Jacob's account, transfers to a second account under his name, and matching deposits from me whenever I'd helped him during his so-called emergencies. The spending from that second account shocked me. Expensive restaurants, online gambling sites, and even a few hotel stays. Unbelievable. I shook my head quietly. "And Kelly knows about this?" "She just found out," Mark explained. "She suspected something for a while, but didn't have access to his financials until she accidentally came across some bank statements. Once she saw the proof, she came to me. I leaned back, trying to process it all. So what does she want me to do? Press charges or something? Mark shook his head. Not right now. She just wants to protect herself and the kids. But she thought you should know, especially if Jacob tries to manipulate you again. I gave a bitter laugh. He already tried. He showed up a few days ago demanding I start helping out again. Mark frowned slightly. That fits with what Kelly mentioned. It sounds like he's panicking now that your financial help is gone. He might be in worse shape than even she realizes. As I looked down at the folder, my thoughts spun. Part of me wanted to confront him face to face, but I knew that would only give him the reaction he wanted. So, what's Kelly planning to do? I asked. Mark paused before replying. She's reviewing her options. She wants to make sure she and the kids are safe, financially and otherwise. If Jacob's behavior gets worse, she may file for separation or take legal action. That hit me harder than I expected. Kelly had always seemed calm, loyal, and committed to Jacob. For her to be considering leaving, things must have gotten truly bad. I left the office feeling a mix of emotions: anger toward Jacob, sympathy for Kelly and the kids, and guilt for not seeing the truth sooner. But above all, I felt something else: relief. For the first time in years, I wasn't carrying Jacob's burden. Now that I knew the truth, I would never let him control me again. Over the next few days, I couldn't stop thinking about what I'd learned: the gambling, the hidden money, and Kelly planning her next move. My family's life had turned into something straight out of a soap opera. I stayed quiet. I didn't call my parents, and I didn't reach out to Jacob. But apparently, he didn't like the silence. One evening, as I was about to have dinner, his name appeared on my phone. I thought about ignoring it, but curiosity got the better of me. "What do you want, Jacob?" I asked. His tone was tense and desperate. "We need to talk. You said something to Kelly, didn't you?" "What are you talking about?" I asked calmly. "Don't play dumb," he shouted. "She's been acting strange since Christmas. Now she's talking about lawyers and separation. I know you've been putting ideas in her head." I couldn't help but laugh. "You think this is my fault? You're the one who lied to her, hid money, and gambled it away. If she's had enough, that's on you, not me." He paused for a moment before replying coldly. "You don't know what you're talking about." "Oh, I think I do," I said. "Kelly told me everything about the secret account, the gambling, and how you blew through money I gave to help your family. You've been using me for years, Jacob." He tried to speak, but I cut him off. "We're done. I'm not helping you anymore. And if you try to drag me into your mess again, I'll make sure everyone knows exactly what you've been doing." Then I hung up. My hands were shaking, but it felt good, freeing even, to finally say what I'd been holding in for years. The backlash came quickly. The next day, Kelly called me. "Did Jacob call you?" she asked cautiously. "Yes," I replied. "He wasn't happy." "Did something happen?" "I confronted him," she said quietly. I asked about the gambling and the hidden account. He admitted to some of it, but is still trying to minimize everything. "Are you okay?" I asked. "I will be," she said after a pause. "But I'm done defending him. The kids deserve better." Hearing her say that made it real, the beginning of the end. It hit me harder than I expected. "Whatever you decide, you have my full support," I told her. "Thank you," she said softly. "And I'm sorry for everything, especially how we treated you at Christmas. I should have spoken up sooner." We talked for a while, and when we hung up, I felt a strange sense of closure. Jacob had ruined my relationship with him, But Kelly and the kids weren't my enemies. I couldn't resent her for finally taking a stand. Still, I had a feeling Jacob wasn't done causing chaos. A few weeks later, Kelly texted me just 3 words. "We're going today." She told me she was moving to another state with the kids while Jacob was out of town, supposedly on a business trip, though I assumed it was another excuse to gamble. She had packed up, rented a truck, and left before he could interfere. I called her right away. "I just couldn't stay any longer," she said softly. "I can't keep pretending this is normal." "What about rent and everything else?" I asked, concerned. After a short pause, she admitted, "I was hoping you might help, just for a little while." "Say no more," I replied. "I'll take care of it." So yes, I helped her and the kids, but this time it felt different. For once, I was doing it because it was right, not because I was being used. When Jacob came home to an empty house, he completely lost it. He called me furious, shouting that I had ruined his life and turned Kelly against him. After letting him rant for a bit, I simply said, "Maybe this wouldn't have happened if you'd spent more time being a husband and father and less time gambling." Then I hung up. Since then, Kelly and the kids have settled into their new home. The children are adjusting to school, and Kelly has found a steady job. She finally feels in control of her life again. As for Jacob, I've heard he's still blaming everyone but himself, but honestly, that's no longer my problem. And I guess, if you can call it that, that's our version of a happy ending. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more real-life stories like this one.